Hi Smarters, welcome back. So today we'll be dealing with questions and how we can be able to interpret them in the correct manner, right? So we'll be doing a question on probability. So it reads, a language was done with 45 grade 12 learners in Bombela Secondary School. So the 45 grade 12 learners, what is it telling you? It's telling you that this is the sample. This is the number of learners that are doing grade 12 in Bombela Secondary School, right? So it then says the aim of the study was to find out what languages learners speak in their home. The results of the survey are listed below. So the first language is Afrikaans. They're saying that 22 learners speak Afrikaans, 24 speaks English, 11 speaks, okay, let me just do this so that we can be able to differentiate. So 11 speaks Siswati and Afrikaans, and then we have 5 that speak all the 3 languages, and then we have 3 that speaks only Afrikaans, and 38 learners speak at least one of the languages at home. So we will understand the meaning of at least 1, at least 2, at most 1, at most 2, and all those things. So they also say that 18 learners speak Siswati, right? So now I want us to quickly go through the questions. So they say that determine the number of learners that do not speak any of the named languages at home. They don't speak any, right? So what we're going to do now, let me first explain what does at least 1 mean. So at least 1, it means that we're going from 1, okay, at least, okay, let's just say at least 1, okay, it's fine, at least 1. So when they say at least 1, they mean that they want to know the number of people that speaks at least 1. It's like they can speak 1 language, 2 languages, 3 languages, 4 languages, 5 languages, and so on and so forth, right? So that means at least 1. That means that you start from 1 and then you go up, right? But when they say at most 3, it means that you start from 3, then you go down, ne? So that person, when they say at most 3 languages, they mean that they can only speak 3 languages or less. It means 3 or less, 3 or less, right? So at least 1 means 1 or more, right? It means 1 or more. So now let's go into the question. They say determine the number of learners that do not speak any of the named languages at home. So to get the number of learners that do not speak any of the languages, here we have the sample of 45. That is the total number of students in the class. But they said 38 learners speak at least, meaning that they can speak all the languages, right? Minus 38. And then we have an answer of, this gives us 7, right? So it means that 7 learners do not speak any of the languages. They say if X learners speak English and Siswati but not Afrikaans, draw a Venn diagram. So our Venn diagram, this is a Venn diagram, so we need 3 of them, right? Like this. They said if X learners speaks English, Siswati and not Afrikaans. So we can have Afrikaans here, we can have English here, and we can have Siswati. So they say that if X learners, when they say X learners, they speak English and Siswati, but not Afrikaans. Meaning that this whole Venn diagram is for Afrikaans, this whole Venn diagram is for English, and this whole, the whole cycle here, it represents Siswati. So if we close, let's say we're closing Africans. If we close the whole cycle of Africans, we will have Siswati only here. This one is Siswati only, right? And then here it's English and Siswati only. And then here we have English only, right? You need to remember this thing that I'm drawing. But then the whole here, if we close here, this whole cycle here, this one here, it means that it's English and Siswati. English and Siswati. So we're going to draw our Venn diagram here. Yes. So we say it's English and Siswati. And then now, when we look at, when we close here, okay, let's start by closing here. So this one here that we see, it's Afrikaans and English only. Afrikaans and English only, right? And then the whole here, this one, it's Afrikaans and English. Afrikaans and English, right? And then we then say that this one here is Afrikaans only. If we close here, this is Afrikaans only. And then in here, in this one here, when we close this side, this circle from English, we have Afrikaans and Siswati only. So this is Afrikaans and Swati only. But then the whole cycle, this one, this is what? It's Afrikaans and Swati. And Swati. But the middle part, this middle part, it means that it's all three. Like it's Afrikaans, English, and Siswati. So now what we're going to do, I want us to just quickly draw a solution to this one. We'll just write it here. I'm sorry, because we've already ruined the other piece. This is Afrikaans, English, and Siswati, right? So they say to us that ex-learner speaks English and Siswati. English and Siswati, but not Afrikaans. Meaning that we need to put X here, right? Because that's what they told us. They say that draw a Venn diagram to represent the information. So what do we initially know about this one? Ne? And also here we're only speaking about Afrikaans, English, and Siswati. So they told us that 5 all speaks all 3 languages, meaning that this is our 5 here. And then now we come. How many for Siswati and Afrikaans only? It's 11 of them, right? So for Afrikaans and Siswati. So when we close this one here, to get the one for Afrikaans and this one, we say that it's this whole thing. So we need to say 11 minus 5, and then we get what? We get a 6. So this all are 11 that speaks Afrikaans and Siswati and Afrikaans. And then now we need to know how many is left for the Siswati, right? So what we're going to do is that to get the one for Siswati only, they told us that 18 speaks Siswati. So for Siswati, they said it's 18. So we need to say 18. We subtract 5. We subtract the 6, which is just 11. Then we'll be left with 7. Then we subtract the X. And when we add everything here, we will see that Siswati is only 18, right? And then now we need to focus on English. Okay, firstly, we can check how many speaks Afrikaans and English. So, okay, it's fine. It's easy. They say 3 speaks Afrikaans only. And we said for Afrikaans only, it's here. So we know that this is 3. But then we need to remember that for the one that speaks Afrikaans, the whole, ne? So we said that 22 speaks Afrikaans. So we're going to say 22, we subtract the 3, we subtract the 6, and we subtract the 5. Then what is our answer? It's going to be an 8, right? This is equal to 8, meaning that this one that will be left will be 8. And when we add everything here, we need to get 22 for this one. And they said 24 speaks English. So we're going to say 24 for English. We subtract the 8, we subtract the 5, and we subtract the x. So 24 minus 8 minus 5, this gives us 11, then we subtract the x. So for English, it's going to be 11 subtract x. But we need to remember that when we draw a Venn diagram, we need our sample size. And we know that our sample is 45 students. It's equals to 45 learners, I'm sorry. And then we need to know how many were not there. We already calculated question 1 and we said that 7 did not speak any of the languages, right? So it means we're going to write 7. Everything that's outside, it means that it was not included here, right? And then they said now we must solve for x. So how do we solve for x, right? We need to know like how we do it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to sum up everything, because this is all we have, and then equate it to the 45, which is our sample. So we're going to say 3 plus 6 plus 5, and then we add the 8 plus 11 minus x, and then we also add the x, and then we add 7 minus x, and then we also add the 7, and then equate it to our sample, which is 45. So we're going to say that 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 8. I just hope everything is visible. And then we add 11 minus x plus 11 minus x, and then we add an x, and then we add 7 minus x, and then we add the 7 outside, and then we equate it to 45, and then we solve for x, right? So how do we solve for x? We're going to add all these numbers here, and then we know the x will cancel out. Yeah, they will cancel out, and we're left with a negative x. So we're going to add up everything. Let me check for a calculator. Sorry. So we have 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 8 plus 11 plus 7, which is equal to, this is 47 minus the x here is equals to 45. And then we know that our x must be equal to 2. So now they say, what is the probability that a learner speaks only 2 of the 3 languages? So we come back to our Venn diagram. We need to know only 2, right? And we already shown, sorry, only 2 of them, it's like this. So this is this one here, we have Afrikaans, and okay, we can just come straight to this one. So the probability of only 2 languages is equals to, we know that we need to check the number of outcomes for the one that will be speaking only 2. Is the number of outcomes divided by the sample, and our sample is 45, so we can just divide by 45, and then we need to know which one speaks at least only 2. So we say that this one here, 6 of them, they speak Afrikaans and Siswati only. So we can say 6 plus, right? And then we come here. The one that are speaking Afrikaans and English only, it's 8. And then we add the one that speaks English and Siswati only, it's x, which is 2. And then we add that up, and then we have an answer of, this is 16 divided by 45. But then we know that in probability we need 2 We can write it in decimal or simplify it. So let's see. Can we simplify this one? No, we can't simplify it. So we can just leave it like this. Thank you.